welcome to day 3. Today we'll learn about conditional statements in Python. What are conditional statements? Why are they important? What it actually mean? So see, to start with, basic understanding, we have already gone through a lot. Now conditional statements are very important in order to build a foundation, to know what exactly how the code works, and these are used everywhere, either in web development or in data science. So as the name suggests, conditional statements are nothing but something which is based on a certain condition. For example, if I consider an example from our daily lives, so if I give myself a condition that if I'm hungry, I'll have food, else I'll not have food, right? So it's based on a certain condition. Or if I use multiple conditions, like if I'm hungry and have money, then I'll buy some food, otherwise I'll, try to manage myself. So it's a condition which I'm giving it to myself. And if this condition happens, I'll do this. If this happens, I'll do that. So same thing happens in Python as well. So we'll understand how, what kind of conditions and how do we use them, what are the syntaxes of it, and what else is required here. So let's start. So conditional statements. So there are three types of conditional statements. First we have is if, then we have if else, then we have if else. So these are basic conditional statements. We also have nested if. Also I'll teach you in this video about shorthand if and if else. So let's first understand what is if statement before jumping into if else. So let me give myself a condition, right? N is equals to int input, or let's keep it as age equals to int input, enter any age. So I hope you understand what is this input statement and what does it do. So if I enter it here, it will ask me to enter any age. Let's say I am entering 15, so it will print as, sorry, it will not print because I haven't given any print command yet. Okay. So input statement you already know, to take an input from the user. Then I'll give an if condition here. So I'll give a condition as if age is more than 18, print you are eligible to vote. Okay, so what I'm giving a condition here is if age is more than 18, you are eligible to vote. Let me print this, then I'll explain you about the indentation. What does it exactly mean? So let me enter the age as 15. So what output it gives me? Nothing. Why? Because 15 is not greater than 18 and I haven't defined any condition yet. If the age is less than 18, what I should do? Let me give the age as 19. So now it will print as you are eligible to vote. Why? See, when I ask, when I give an input here, it will take an input from the user. Then what it will do is it will jump on the if statement. It will check if age is more than 18. So age entered by me is 19, which is more than 18. If this condition is satisfied, this statement will immediately jump up to the print part and it will give me whatever command I have given. What is this? I have already explained you indentation. Indentation is nothing but it actually reflects that you are in this part of the code. So unlike C or Java, what we use here is curly braces, to, if you enter you are okay to work. So this actually indicates that this part is here in this block, right? You in C or Java, you explain it through this way, through the syntax, curly braces. But here what it does is Python itself, understands that this indentation is responsible for me to have working in this block, right? So this basically gives you a hint that this part of code is actually printing this. So indentation is nothing but it explains you to just be in this line of code. What if I print here, print done? So if I'm entering as 19, so it will print as done, right? So this part is not related to this. Why? Because you're not in this block. Python understands being in a block with the help of indentation, and it if you use it, PyCharm, Jupyter, any ID, any ideally or any Python ID, it automatically, if you give a semicolon, it understands that you are now creating a block for this particular statement, and it will jump onto another line with giving an indentation, confirming that this part of code needs to be printed when this condition is satisfied. Okay, so what if I give here as 15? See, 15 I have given, it doesn't satisfy this condition, so it will immediately jump onto this part. Why? Because this part is not related to this. Understood? So this is all about if statement. Now let's also take an example of if else. Here I'm giving two conditions. Let me copy this. So if I am giving condition as age is more than 18, then print you are eligible to vote. Now what if age is not more than 18? So you'll give an else condition. Else print you aren't eligible to vote. Okay, now if I give a age as 30, it will print as you aren't eligible to vote, and this block eventually will happen. Why? Because this block is not a part of this loop, or it's not a part of this. Okay, so this is all about if and else. Now we also have if, elif, else. So elif is nothing but else if. Here you give multiple conditions, right? So, how, let's take an example. N is equals to int input. I'll first write the program and then I'll explain you how it works. Enter any number. So now I'm asking N to input any number from the user. Now I'll give an if condition. If N is more than 0, come out of this, print the number is positive. Okay. Elif N is equals to 0, print the number is 0. Else, else, or I'll give one more if condition. Elif N is equals to 9, print the number is special number. Let me do some changes. N is less than 0, number is negative. Oh, sorry, negative. Else print the number is positive. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm taking an input from the user. Okay, let me take an input as 4. What the output it will give? It will give me the output as the number is positive. Now see how the iteration works. So once I'm once I'm taking an input from the user 4. Now first it will check this condition. If n is less than 0, this condition isn't satisfied, it will immediately jump to this elif part. So now it will check if n is equals to 0. It's not. Then again it will ignore this. Why? Because if this condition isn't satisfied, it will not enter into that block. Then it will come here as n equals to 999. So this condition is also not satisfied, right? Then it will immediately come on to else part. And since these three conditions are not satisfied, it will immediately come here and it will print as the number is positive. So this is all about if, elif and else. Now let's put the number as -8. The number is negative. Why? Because this condition is already satisfied. But if I put here is 0, it will give me as 0. What if I put here is 999? It will give me as the number is a special number. Why? Because it will check this condition, then it will jump onto this condition. Later on, it will jump onto this condition, and then if this condition is satisfied, it will print as the number is a special number. Okay. So this is all about if, elif, and if else. Now we also have nested if. So what is nested if here? Let's understand. Nested if is nothing but an explanation of if under if. So if you have multiple conditions, then it will actually, not this is not, don't be confused with if elif, and there's some difference between nested if and if elif. Here you are giving multiple if conditions. What here you will do is you will give a condition inside a condition. Let's take an example so you'll understand it better. So let's take an input from the user. Then I'm first condition I'm giving is if n is less than 0, it will print that the number is negative. Now I'm giving a condition as else if, uh, let me give you a simple example. Okay, so let me print as n is more than 0, right? Then it will come back here and check if n is more than 0 and n is less than 10, print the number false between 0 to 10. If n is more than 10 and n is less than 20, print the number false between 10 to 20. Okay, now I'm giving condition elif, or let me give this part, and the number is 0, else print the number is negative. Okay, now understand. Suppose I'm giving a number as 4. So this is giving me an output as the number falls between 0 to 10. Why? So here I am giving a user input as 4. So first it will jump onto this condition. If n is more than 0, this condition is satisfied. So now it will jump onto inside this block of code. So it will come here and check if n is more than 0 and n is less than 10. So now it will check if n is more than 0, yes, and n is less than 10, yes, it's 4. So it will print the output as the number falls between 0 to 10, and these all conditions are nullified. Why? Because it has got its answer in the first statement itself. Now what if I print as number is 15? It will give me output as the number falls between 10 to 20. Why? Because this condition isn't satisfied. This condition is. So it will print the output as this. Now if I'm giving it again here as number is minus 1, it will print as the number is negative. Why? This condition is not satisfied. So it will ignore this part. Why? Because if this condition is not satisfied, it is not required to go into this block. It will leave this, it will jump onto here. It will see that n is not equal to 0. So this condition is also nullified. Then executing else statement stating this number is a negative number. So this is all about nested if, which means you are giving an if condition inside an if condition. Multiple if conditions, and here you can have many if conditions. Let's say I'll also put here as this elif, let's say n is more than 20, or you just put here as else condition. Okay, else print the number is outside given range. Okay, now let's see what if I put as 22. See, it will give me as the number is outside. So inside an if condition, you are giving multiple if conditions, right? With if, elif and else. Understood? You can also give multiple conditions here as well. Like here's a condition: if n is more than 0, if n is more than 0 and n is less than 10, print number falls between 10. Now if I'm giving here as one more condition, instead of this, I'll just put here as if n is more than 2 and n is less than 8, print the number is my favorite, else print I don't care. Now see what happens. So let me give it the number as 9. I don't care. Why? So first it will check if the number is more than 0. So if this number is more than 0, it will go on to this condition. If this also satisfies, it's between n is more than 0 and n is less than 10. Now it will jump onto this statement. If n is more than 2 and less than 8, but it's not, so it will leave this, it will come here and it will print as I don't care. What if I give here as 12? The number falls between 10 to 20. It will come onto this part. So did you understand the if condition, if nested if? So there are conditions, like multiple conditions you give inside an if statement. You give another if, you can also give another if statement, also you can give another if statement, you can also give any condition here as well. So you can give many conditions inside if conditions. This is all about nested if. Now let's understand about shorthand if statement. What are shorthand if? So see the process here. Let's take an example of this. So shorthand if statement is nothing but it actually saves your time, and it also need not have many indentations. What in this huge program, like take this example, it's a very huge program, right? You're taking an input from the user, you're also giving conditions. So what you can do here is you can remove these parts. You can just print you can vote if age is more than 18, else print you cannot vote. Let's see if I'm on 12, it will say you cannot vote. So this is a shorthand if statement. First you'll give what output you need, then you'll give the condition, then you'll give else condition. You will also give elif here. Elif print you cannot vote, else print I am okay. Let's see what it gives here. So elif is not required here. It's only shorthand if else. Understood my point? So this is all about shorthand if else statement. Stake 90. It will give us you can vote. So these are all about conditional statements which are very important to understand. I hope you have understood the concept of nested if, because it's very important. Considering if else, it's very simple. You're given if condition, you can print that. You'll give an if, then you'll give an if else condition. You'll give multiple if conditions, to check what your range falls in which of the dimensions. Then here nested if is you give if condition inside an if condition, then again you give an if condition whatsoever, how many times you want. So this is all about conditional statements in Python, and this is shorthand. You can use it to just save time. Also if you have less space to code, it's also helpful in not making lots of indentations and all, if you have to use shorthand if else statement. Just in a huge programs, if you just have to give one simple condition, instead of writing 4-5 lines of code, you can do it in a single line. So that's all about shorthand if and nested if and if else statement. So we'll see you in the next lecture. Bye.